I watched it and I jumped.
Ah, nice.
Oh no!
Done.
I watched it and I was like, I'm going to hold the phone a little bit away.
Well, it's going to be fun to see how this one is, because this is much more corkscrew style versus the other, which is like Tap is much more of a scene, Devil is much more like horror action, and this is very corkscrew style. I started with a film called Tap, and then followed that up about 6-8 months later with Devil's Passenger, and then followed that up with this. And so I wanted to kind of create three very distinctly different types of horror films, because I wanted to kind of, one, I wanted to test myself, but two, I wanted to see how the audience would react to these. So the style of window dressing versus the style of the other two films are very, very different.
Well, how did you get into this? I'm completely curious. What made you decide this is what I'm going to do?
So filmmaking started way back when. I'm going to really date myself with this story. I was 10 years old. My parents took me to a drive-in theater to see Swiss Family Robinson. And we're in the theater, and how these theaters was there'd be a screen that would be like on one side, and then off on another side there'd be another film playing. So cars would kind of point in opposing directions to be able to watch two films. And Swiss Family Robinson was just boring, and I just couldn't get into it. And I started watching the other movie, and it was Jaws. And we went to like a double feature, so I watched Jaws twice. Now, I watched Jaws without sound, because how a drive-in theater works is they put like a little speaker in your car, and you're able to hear the movie that you're watching. So only saw it visually, and was just absolutely, I had never seen anything like it. And it scared me, as a kid, but I mean, it also was like, wow, you could just feel the power of it. And so the next day I went out and I made like a little tiny boat about this big, got a rubber shark and hooked it on a fishing line, got my dad's Super 8 movie camera, shooting film, no video at this point in life. And my dad helped me out, and we put this in the swimming pool, and I made Jaws Jr. And I made that at 10 years old, and I've been making movies ever since.
That's incredible. Do you still have that video, by the way?
I still have it, yeah.
I need to see that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. It'll keep you on your edge of your seat.
And what made you decide to enter into the genres of horror?
What's funny is that, I'm influenced by all genres of film, and I love storytelling. And so, Jaws was definitely instrumental, and it really brought me into filmmaking and really the power of how to make people uncomfortable, how to build tension, how to build drama. And so that was a lot of the lessons that I learned from that. But then I just started the films that I kept kind of gravitating towards were always like horror, suspenseful, and things like that. I did try and wanted to kind of put my foot in the pools of different genres with short films over the last few years. And so I've done a lot of other genres. I've done like sci-fi, and I even did a film that was all told in a woman's voice, and it's very European feeling. And just to kind of, again, it's like, like kind of almost like working out. You're working out different muscle groups, and you're working out all these different things. But it was fun, like trying all of those. But what always kind of gravitated me back was always coming back into horror. And I had made a film that was called Siri back in 2012, and I had made it pretty quick. We were basically like 3 weeks away from Halloween, and a friend of mine was like, "Yeah, we should make a horror film for Halloween." I'm like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." And so I wrote the script over the weekend. We shot in one day, edited it in a week, and really turned this movie around really rapidly. And the film was really, really well received. And after that, I was like going, this is pretty cool. But what was interesting was I was still doing a lot. At that time, I was writing a lot of comedy things. And when I really decided that I was going to go into horror, I realized that comedy and horror are literally identical structure-wise, with the exception of the outcome. So if you look at like how the beats fall for comedy, it's like boom, 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 joke, boom, 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 joke. It's the same thing for like horror. It's like boom, 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 scare, boom, 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 scare. And of course you have a happy ending with comedy and not so much in horror. But so once I kind of figured that out, when I started to write Tap, I was like going, well, this would be a good place for a joke. Oh, that's where I put the scare. And I was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense. So there was kind of like a muscle memory with it, in the sense of like I had done a lot of comedy, and so it really made sense to be able to hit the beats right, as far as how to build, and how to get the scares across and how to make that work. And so that's kind of how I kind of got into really doing that.
What else was involved in creating something that really invokes horror or frightens people?
Right. Well, I mean, it always comes to the story first. And the story is, and that's the thing that I think is also interesting about horror versus any other genre, because it's really kind of like the redheaded stepchild in a lot of ways for genres. A lot of people are like, oh, horror is not that important, and it's always kind of gotten that stigma, and it's like low budget and all this kind of thing. But that's also one of the beauties of it. You don't necessarily have to go in there with star power and bring in like, well-known actors. It will help, obviously, but you don't have to have it. You have to have a great story. That's first and foremost. I mean, you look at like the most successful films that have actually been made, which has been like Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity. Neither of them had any stars at all, but it told a great, great story first. And so you have to have that for your foundation first. And then once you have that, then it's starting to really take all those things that are going to be necessary to really make that, expand on it. So bringing in great actors, setting your, trying to find locations that really, really speak to what the story is representing, and trying to set that tone, how you light it, how the camera work is. Because with horror, you can be a little bit more untraditional when it comes to actually how you shoot. You look at like how like William Friedkin did this in his style of filmmaking. You look at other filmmakers. James Waugh really kind of has a very like fluid style, which is almost kind of music video-ish in a lot of ways. And so you can really have those luxuries of being able to say, I'm not going to be confined to, I got to make it this way. You can kind of make it anyway. And so I think once you've kind of done that and kind of determined your tone, then it's, how you create your lighting, how you create the art direction for it, and all of that other elements really will then expand on your story.
And you create a lot of these short movie or short films. How would you describe the difference between working a short film and a long film? And why did you decide that short was the sort of style you wanted? Can you call it style even?
Well, yeah, I mean, short film. So like short films versus like features or episodics. The thing that I find that I like about doing shorts are that I like to tell the biggest story in the shortest amount of time. And I come from the commercial world, and I come from how do I tell a story in 25 seconds? And so I like to be able to do something where we tell a broad story, very, very condensed, and make it where when you come away from it, my hope is that you go, there's so much story there, you're like, well, I want to watch that again, because I mean, there's a lot there and that I want to check out again. And that's what I'm hoping that will happen with it. And it's, the thing is, I think that for me, because of just doing commercial content, really short films just seem like the next obvious step, because it was like, oh, it's condensed and it's small and it's short, and also I don't have much of an attention span. So I mean, that kind of helps too, because it enables me to be able to really get through and make, like, I can do a short film in probably about 4 months from concept to completion. Wow. And it enables me to really turn that, versus like a feature, which will take years. But I also haven't taken on a feature just yet. But it could be on the horizon.
What are your goals, I guess, with this? Where do you want to take this?
Well, I mean, I think that is probably where I'm going to go. What I'm trying to do right now is to create a body of work, which with Tap, Devil's Passenger, and with window dressing, now I feel like all of this has been done within 2 years, and really wanted to basically create content at a very high level. We shot all in red. Brought in actors from LA, brought in, the best crew I could find and also afford within the Bay Area and Los Angeles, and, really leveraged the best people I could find, and just said, look, I just want to take this to the highest level I can go at this stage, and let's make something that, would be a good kind of a showpiece, taking it to the next step of, creating a feature and going down that road with it.
And if anyone wanted to, let's say someone's watching this, they think, oh my gosh, I would love to do this. What sort of steps would you recommend they start taking to sort of enter into this world?
Well, I think the first and foremost, you got to just go out and you got to shoot content. What's great nowadays is you don't necessarily have to go out and shoot with Red, and you don't have to go out and get a big crew. I mean, my first films were me and my dog, and and it would just be, I wouldn't have a crew, and it was just, you would just figure out a way to do it. Nowadays, just grabbing an iPhone, you can shoot with 4K. And you can create great content that way. It really comes down to studying your movies. Why do you like a certain type of film? Being true to yourself. If you're one that loves romantic comedies, my wife loves romantic comedy, that's what you should be making. I mean, and if you're like trying to make something that's not you, it's just not going to come across genuine. And, coming to horror, I had a lot of people that kind of give me these knee-jerk reactions of like, you don't seem like the kind of person that would make horror films at all. And, and that's true. But I mean, the thing is that it's the genre that really, really speaks to me. And it's the genre that I think that I'm hoping that people really, really enjoy. And I enjoy really making them. So,
how do you come up with the ideas for your scripts? That must take a lot of creativity.
It's an ongoing thing. I have notes on my phone. When I see something, I just jot an idea down. Devil's Passenger, for example, was something that I had the idea for that about 6-7 years ago. I was in LA traffic, and we were like gridlock on the 405, and there was a white van in front of me. And I was like going, what would happen if all of a sudden, this woman popped up in the back? And what could I really do? And this is before the age of, so this is a little while ago, this is before the age of cell phones. And I was like going, could I get off the freeway? How could I intervene? The cars were just like inching. So could I get out of the car and actually do something? And it just kind of like stuck with me as far as like, okay, that could be a really good story. And, now we're in this age of instant communication with cell phones. And so I just took that idea and elevated it to what could work now and how we kind of think and how we kind of operate. So,
fantastic.
But I mean, inspirations are from everywhere. With window dressing, I absolutely have a terrifying fear of mannequins, which is genuine. In fact, when we shot the movie, I didn't like being around the mannequins too much. And I think I had, basically instant karma from the gods of mannequins, because so we're shooting in this retail location, and the woman that owned the store had moved the mannequins into the bathroom, and so I was in the bathroom, and I went to step back, and the hand of the mannequin kind of goosed me, and I swear to God, no, it really is just a really wonderful experience when, your whole crew can hear you scream like a little girl in the bathroom. But, I took that fear and hopefully elevated it. So my fear is now everyone else's.
Now, you've mentioned window dressing a few times. This is the next movie that's coming out. When's it going to be released?
It's going to be coming out June 25th. It's available at FlixHorror which is a YouTube channel. And so if you look that up, you can find it that way. And it stars Colleen Kelly and Elaine Partnow. I've worked with Colleen before. She was actually in Devil's Passenger. And so this is our second go. And so very different style of horror versus the other two films. And so, yeah, should be hopefully it'll be a good ride for you.
Fantastic. And what's next?
I think that I've been kind of playing around with this film that's I just finished the script, and it's called You Killed Me. And so it's a film about you shouldn't be texting while driving, or bad things can really happen. So, yeah.
Amazing.
So that's all good.
And what can people expect from window dressing?
So what I try to do with the style of horror that I do is I want it to be kind of like a roller coaster. So if you have a fear of roller coasters and you walk up to a roller coaster and you go look at that thing, you're like, that thing is going to scare me. I know it's controllable, but it's going to definitely scare me. And you go on to it, and you're going up that hill and it just kicks over and you go for the ride and you scream and you know, but at the end of it, it's fun. And that's what I really hope with these, is that I don't do a lot of gore. It's really about just trying to make something that will hopefully make you jump and give you a good scare, but at the end of it, it's a fun ride and that you want to watch again. So.
And what does success mean to you?
Really for me, it's like what is happening now. It's like, you know, building an audience, you know, making these films that people really are enjoying. And, you know, it's weird in a horror genre, because unlike other genres where you go, oh, you know, your film was really inspiring, or that your film was really, you know, made me cry. It's like, your film really scared the crap out of me. You did it where I can't sleep for a week. And I guess that's like, okay, pat on the back. So, I mean, that's the part of it that's fun. But so now I've embraced the, like, okay, I will basically make people not be able to sleep well at night. So, you know, there'll be, you know, Tylenol PM available in the lobby, I guess.
But Dave, thank you so much. It's been absolutely awesome. So everyone watching this, we'll make sure the links are up so you can swipe straight through to window dressing. Enjoy, be scared.